Have you heard of Neville Goddard? He's one of the great spiritual masters and an author. In today's video, we're going to discuss the 3 words that can change your life, bringing forth a completely different version of yourself in this world. Whether you wish to manifest a desire or seek an entirely different life for yourself, these words can work for anything you desire, so stay with me until the end of this video, and I'll introduce you to these 3 words that you can use to bring about any change in your life. Let's get started. Neville Goddard's technique, extracted from his book, The Law and the Promise, consists of 3 words. This technique has brought many success stories into the lives of those who have truly tried it. Those who have followed this technique have reported achieving exactly the results they desired. This manifestation technique works flawlessly for most people, and I confidently assert that it will work just as well for you if you practice this method with all the instructions I will provide shortly. This technique is very simple yet highly effective. Therefore, I'm certain that all who are listening and paying attention will love to give it a try. Now, this technique will only take about 30 seconds of your time. But before we dive directly into it, I'd like to share a story that Neville Goddard mentioned in his book, The Law and the Promise. This is an incredible example of how this technique worked for a lady who needed money and financial stability in her life. This woman shared with Neville Goddard that she was going through financial difficulties. She was seeking employment but without success, and she wished to buy a car but lacked the job to do so. She was even struggling to pay the rent. At that moment, she heard about Neville Goddard's technique, which completely changed her life. She reported that she began applying these 3 words instead of just thinking and imagining everything she needed. She tried to capture the feeling that something wonderful was happening to her. Not tomorrow, not next week, but now. Repeating these 3 magic words to herself as she drifted off to sleep, she repeated this imaginary action and feeling for 2 months, night after night. One day in early October, she encountered a casual acquaintance she hadn't seen in months. He informed her that he was about to embark on a trip to New York, where she had lived many years ago. They talked about the city for a few moments and then parted ways. A month after this encounter, this man called her apartment and simply handed her a certified check in her name for $25,000. Now, how did she get this $25,000? The check was amazing, as that amount is a large sum of money. She tells the story of when her friend was talking to someone whom the lady used to know when she moved back to New York. This person had become incredibly wealthy, and upon learning that her friend was in touch with her, he instructed the friend to hand her a $25,000 check. From that moment on, she was also included in the will of that wealthy individual, who expressed the desire to support her for her work as an artist. The lady was even put in the will to receive monthly checks of $25,000 for the rest of her life. The person who gave these checks disappeared without ever encountering her again, but the lady's life changed. Neville Goddard's 3-word technique drastically changed her life, and she attributes all credit to these words. From Neville Goddard's technique, these words are emphasized because they are the words the author mentioned in his book, The Law and the Promise. Isn't it wonderful to think about all the things you want in life, visualize them, and imagine all these desires coming true? Just say it out loud. Isn't it wonderful? As you're imagining it, step into that feeling of desire because that's where the real fun lies. Fully immerse yourself in that feeling because it's that feeling that will take you where you truly want to be. That's the feeling you must achieve when manifesting with this technique, the feeling you have when you achieve the desired outcome. The feeling you'll have at the end of this desire should be your goal when manifesting with these 3 words. Isn't it wonderful? So once again, when you're imagining, when you're visualizing, when you're thinking about that desire, just live in that moment. Don't think about how you'll get there. Don't think about what the effective steps are to achieve the desired outcome. Don't think about all those things because it's good just to think about it, isn't it? Don't think about how, when, and why. Just know that there's magic around you in the form of energy, and that energy will take you to where your desire is. That's what the lady did every night before going to bed. She imagined her desire, visualized being an artist, visualized being rich, and said, "Isn't it wonderful?" This is the technique Neville Goddard mentioned in his book, The Law and the Promise. You can do this technique in the morning if you want, but it's most effective when you practice it before bed. Like most of Neville Goddard's techniques, he advises his followers to practice it at night before sleeping because of its effectiveness and the power of our subconscious mind to hold on to that feeling, emotion, and thought throughout the night. That's what makes it very effective when done at night. Now, let's quickly practice this technique again. First, as you're falling asleep, close your eyes and let your thoughts flow like a river, like the river that continuously flows. Let these optimistic thoughts simply flow, unaffected by obstacles and barriers. Here, the obstacles and barriers symbolize your pessimistic thoughts and convictions that you hold on to because you believe such elements are inevitable. However, don't concern yourself with these matters, as they will not exert influence over you unless you feel that overwhelming feeling that completely captures you. When you're immersed in that feeling very overwhelmed by all the images, all the pictures and scenes of the desired outcome will start appearing in your mind. You'll see a clear path where you have everything you desire. Then afterward, you just need to be in that moment and fully immerse yourself in it. After that, let yourself fall asleep saying, "Isn't it wonderful?" Do this for 30 days and watch the results unfold before your own eyes. This is a very powerful technique. As I mentioned earlier, many people have noticed significant changes in their lifestyle after practicing this technique. Now it's your turn to try it. Give this technique a shot and write about your experience with it. I'd love to hear your experiences, so please head to the comments section and share, inspiring others with your journey.